Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we speak with Kendino, a Filipino-Irish hip-hop artist and producer, best known for producing lo-fi bedroom pop. In this interview, Kendino talks about his latest single, Love Letters, collaborating with artist Rems and producer Mubi on it, his plans for an upcoming EP, his vision of what his debut album would look like, his love for Nickelodeon TV shows, and more. I guess the first thing I'll ask, just as kind of a basic introduction, is just how you got into
Yeah.
music yourself.
Yeah, that's actually a funny story because like I've loved music ever since I was a kid. Like, what I mean? It's literally how I learned English. It's gonna be a bit of an embarrassing story, but like see, my mom went to Ireland, right? So when she comes back home, she sent us these CDs and stuff. The
Yeah.
first thing I got was a Westlife CD. It was like a very like light blue one, with all the five heads and stuff like that. And yeah, no, ever since then I've been learning, like I was singing like Fool Again
Yeah.
and Uptown Girl and all that stuff. And that's when I knew like I loved music, what I mean? And then it just grew from there. Like I heard about like the Black Eyed Peas when I was a kid. Um, really big in the Philippines actually. Because one of the guys, Apple the App, he's actually Filipino.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah, for Elefunk and um for Monkey Business as well. Like there's at least like one song that's a Filipino song, and that kind of like stuck out to me. I was like, oh, we can make it as well as artists. It's not just like these guys from here, those guys from there. Like literally anyone can make it. So I just had that in my head, and um yeah, it was nice to know that I had a shot, what I mean? It kind of inspired me to do what I'm doing right now.
So it all starts with Westlife.
Yeah,
Uh,
unfortunately. But hey,
so
it's a good thing though, what I mean?
so when did the Kendino project start then?
I want to say around like 2018. Like I had the name before then, it was just like a this kind of playful thing because Childish Kendino sounds like Childish Gambino. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's a Donald Glover fan, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So um yeah, so that's how it started. And then I didn't actually think of making music myself until I dropped out of college, like I had nothing to do. Um but then I met these guys who were like freestyling and rapping all the time, and I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So I started, believe it or not, I actually started off writing battle raps
Yeah.
that can that can go off against them. It's just for me and these guys in this friend circle,
Yeah.
and we would just like go off at another. Were they good? Not really, but it started off my love for writing, and like I already had sort of like an eclectic taste in music anyway. I listened to like the most weirdest shit, and I've always wanted to make something like that myself, because I've played guitar over the years, so like music was always been a thing for me, but like actually producing, actually making, it's never occurred to me until like that moment in time. I was like, I have I have the time, I have the instruments, I like have the skills. I just gotta learn how to, sing better. I gotta learn how to write better, all that kind of stuff. And it all just came together. And 9 months later, what I mean, up in St. James's Hospital, Kendino was born.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, that's the story of that.
so what's that like difficult actually transitioning into a musician yourself? I mean, you kind of just sort of gloss over the actual the process, I guess, of being a musician, of kind of learning. I mean, the case of what you're doing as well, I mean, there's also the production side, which is its own career in and of itself. It's its own sort of occupation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, I mean, like, was that difficult or did you adapt to it very quickly?
Um, I wouldn't say I adapted it quickly. Like literally, before honestly 2020, I was only using Audacity
Yeah.
I mean, like one of those like free programs you can get. It was
Yeah.
I didn't know it was for audiobooks. I didn't know that at all. Like it was to like do those kind of recordings, but I was like I used it anyway. And
I used to make soundscapes on Audacity, so
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So like, you're familiar with it as well. You know
yeah,
how shout outs to Audacity, shout outs to the creators of that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was crazy because like all I had was that and an Apple microphone, and I would just like sing into that.
Oh
And
shit, yeah.
then I released like Switching Lanes then on SoundCloud. And then on then it's just like kept a snowball because I actually got the attention of a producer at the time, and he and then we got to record that professionally, then put that on Spotify, you know what I mean? And then that's when everything started happening. Obviously with COVID hitting, you know what I mean? Sorry to say a trigger word there. Um, but yeah, ever since that started, I couldn't go home. So obviously I had to stay at home. So obviously I couldn't go to my mate's house, keep music there, do music there. So I had to stay home and do it myself, and
Mhm.
with all the time in the world and all that stuff, I did a whole thing. I started buying stuff for myself. Like I got a little like Focusrite. I got like a microphone, not this one, the other one there.
Yeah.
I have two mics now. So, you know what I mean? I've come so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had those two things. And then I got with the Focusrite actually there was like a free trial for Ableton. You know what I mean? I had to cop that. I
Yeah.
had to cop that, obviously, to learn and all that stuff. It was pretty decent as well because like you can actually do 8 tracks, and like it doesn't seem much to most producers these days, but like, you know what I mean? 8 tracks is a lot. You
Yeah.
can work with so much stuff, especially if you're just working with YouTube beats. All the other 7 tracks then could be vocal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like that's when I started doing that. That's when I started learning how to mix and master as well. Very nerdy stuff. But it was it was a hard road to get along because like, sound engineering, all that stuff is very new to me. Because like what I was doing before, obviously before COVID and before I dropped out, was electronic engineering and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't touched on it. Well, I mean, there was sounds and signals, but like, I mean, my lecturer didn't tell me, okay, guys, open up your FL Studios. We're gonna
Sure.
be doing this today. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a new field for me, but I got the hang of it eventually. I called up some mates and they were telling me like little tips and tricks to help me out, how to make it easier. And now I'm still learning a lot now. Actually, I was just noodling with some of the session stuff the other day, because my next goal is to try to learn how to DJ,
Hmm.
because like I just think that looks cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I'm pretty happy with my progress right now.
Yeah, I mean, and you've also mentioned before that you produce for Andromeda, and I was wondering what that's like working with other like people.
So I haven't produced with Andromeda. Like, Andromeda is actually mixed like a song that I worked on
Oh, okay.
with Boring Brown Eyes. So I was like, that's kind of like that whole story there. But I have produced with other people, like with Rems, with the Kid G, with Mubi, he's another producer,
Yeah.
like all those people. And um it's been nice. It's been eye-opening because like I've seen other people's process to things, you know what I mean? Like, because I have like a whole like scheduled, I like there's a whole thing I gotta do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's normal or anything, but I feel like it's more efficient, you know what I
Sure.
mean? You can't just open up your DAW and just like, okay, what am I doing today, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Once you have everything set up, it'll make your process faster. Yeah, everyone else does it differently. Like, yeah, I have people like, I have mates like DeLeon, who opens it up and already has everything he needs. He has his keyboard down, he has his midis, he has his beats, vocals, vocal tracks, like
Yeah.
he already has like auto tune and stuff ready, you know what I mean? Like with that guy in particular, the key word is efficiency, efficiency, efficiency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then with guys like Mubi, obviously because he's a producer, you know what I mean? He'd have FL Studio open, which by the way has opened up a lot of arguments because I'm an Ableton guy at heart, at always. I've had so many arguments with this guy back and forth, like which one's better. And then I show him I can do this, and he's like, I can do that. And like it's nice because like it's the best of both worlds, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, both of us together, we feel like Hannah Montana. It's nice.
yeah.
Because like he's honestly
Westlife,
taught me
Hannah
a
Montana, all the shout outs.
exactly, you know what I mean? Fucking, oh, I love her.
I,
She's an idol.
I know you said your taste was versatile, but
Yeah. Oh, literally. Yeah. Oh no, trust me. You know what I mean? Them Disney shows,
yeah.
Nickelodeon shows. You know what I mean? Shout out to Good Burger 2 being announced. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a dude. He's a dude.
Yeah, yeah, dude, because we're all dudes. Oh my God. I'm glad I'm speaking to a fellow fan.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up on that shit.
Oh, for real. Oh, it's honestly great. It's like all those things coming together, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice. I feel like a kid again, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But working with like other producers, because like actually, I guess it's transitioning this onto your new single, Love Letters,
Yes.
co-produced by Mubi.
Yes.
I was wondering, like, you know, what does like kind of producing with another person kind of bring to it? Because I feel like some people are a little more kind of precious about their music. They're kind of like, I
Yeah.
want to do everything top to bottom myself, and some people are a bit more kind of open to what do you call it? Open to collaboration,
Collaborating.
yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of they want to see what other people can bring. What's your stance on all that?
Like honestly, like I'm like literally smack down in the middle because like obviously I've been doing it for a while now. In terms of like my sound, like it's I w- actually would describe it as experimental. Like I've had some stuff, but the thing is, like most of the stuff I work on, I don't want people to know yet, is in the bank, you know. And right now I'm only known as like a lo-fi artist, like you know, like a R&B singer, stuff like that. Um, but I'm pretty much capable of other things as well. That kind of stuff I will throw it to myself. I will just like keep it all in the lock box. And obviously I'll get people's opinions on it, but other than that, I unless I need help, unless there's something I can't honestly do alone, I'll keep that stuff locked. And then there's the other side of things where obviously Love Letters co-produced by Mubi. Honestly, like it's been a blessing because like when working with other people and not just him as well as with other people, you know what I mean? Because like us, I don't know if I said it before, but Rems produces as well, you
Mhm.
know? So all these guys together, it's like having like the United Nations of producers, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? You have all these different ideas, all these different people from different like backgrounds, different teachings. Like like from my knowledge, I think we're just all self-taught, you know. I mean, shout out to lockdown giving us all that free time. But yeah, like we're basically all self-taught, and bringing those ideas together, it's like, you know, he's giving me this like cool idea, or he's giving me this cool idea. Like honestly, I wouldn't even touch 808s if it wasn't for Movie, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because he's more or less an expert in that. He's very much inspired by Metro Boomin, but like, you know what I mean, he'll tell you that, you know what I'm saying, if you have an interview with him someday, he'll let you know that that's what his whole thing is. And like my inspiration would be more like, you know, more 88 Rising guys like Joji. I think it is just Joji. Like there's Rich Brian as well, but like, you know what I mean, he's kind of fallen off. But yes, Joji, he is the god, he is the king. And yeah, so that's what my sound is, that's what my original sound is based off of, you know what I mean, soft boy, heartbroken type shit.
yeah.
And Rems is more of like a boom bap, like 90s sound. So like honestly, like everything just combined. And then there's guys like Dillion, and I've seen you interview this guy as well, GNS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just the other day. Yeah, I had a quick read of it there actually. It's pretty funny interview.
It was a
um
good interview. I really
yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think he did too. Yeah, so like all these people combined, would help me, and I hope I help them as well. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I do. But obviously that's for them to say. But I feel like all of us coming together, doing this like whole collaborative sound, um, benefits everybody in the group. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, I'm in defense, but I feel like they both would benefit artists. So, if anyone's out there listening, reading, um, post burnout right now, um, honestly, find yourself even just one person that knows a little bit about music. So when you're learning together, you come up together.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the kind of the cool thing I think about like the kind of music now is that like I talk to so many people and it's like everyone has such like has their own like really unique kind of approach to producing music because like you were mentioning like the pandemic kind of forced everyone to have to kind of become a producer too,
Yeah,
and I just found like everyone was just kind of like had their growing pains and they were kind of figuring it out for themselves, and like everyone just kind of adapted, and you get people who are very very technically, masterful and are at the very cutting edge, and then you get people who are just kind of stringing together with like, chewing gum, and it's like, but it
yeah,
works. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like
Yeah,
it sounds great, and I think there is a certain baseline of professional production that everyone kind of
yeah,
enjoys nowadays that
hmm
like probably wouldn't been the case before. Like, if you listen to kind of old like self-produced stuff, like whatever genre, like say from the 80s and 90s, it sounds like shit because it was like,
yeah,
it was produced in like 2 hours in like some
yeah.
studio or whatever, so it's like awful.
Literally,
But
yeah.
like now everyone kind of just has like a laptop, everyone has, phone, whatever, like everyone has access to a certain level of competency.
Yeah,
The
literally. Like, yeah, that's like what you said, even like an iPhone, like, what I mean, I was because
microphone in an iPhone's a lot better
yeah,
than people would expect when it comes to production.
facts, facts. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It has good noise reduction and stuff.
Good noise reduction. Like, plus you have free access to GarageBand, you know what I mean? Shout out
Yeah.
GarageBand,
Yeah.
you know?
Shout out
Yeah.
GarageBand.
Yeah, like actually, fun fact, that's what Joji uses to this day to
Yeah.
make his music. You know what I mean? And he won like a few Grammys already. Think about that, a few Grammys off of GarageBand. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that kind of like I think the kind of rise in like bedroom pop and stuff is like
Yeah.
really explaining just how like versatile music tastes are getting. And I think like even the average because like this isn't really countercultural. I mean, it's very mainstream. It sells well.
Yeah.
The people like play all over the world to like decent sized venues. So it's like everything is like it's insane to me. And I'm also seeing it with kind of the post punk movement here too, where it's just like music that just like 10 years ago, let's say, would just be like
Yeah.
some kind of like it would be stuck in the clubs is now getting like mainstream attention. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's on radio, it's on TV, it's on, they're playing like proper quote unquote proper venues, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing,
And it's like really cool to see that. Like I really enjoy seeing the kind of versatility now. I think actually you're part of it too. I mean, you've played with, the amniotics and and it's like
Yeah.
you have to like I just think that's really cool to see like the kind of versatile because like even when I was growing up, everything was
Yeah.
very fragmented into little camps where it's like oh,
Yeah.
you
Like
like
into
rock
little
music, you
sections
like
and
hip
stuff.
hop,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's like I just see those barriers just kind of dissolving now, and I think it's good. I think it's good
Yeah.
for kind of future generations too, where it's like everyone now has access to whatever they want to
Yeah,
listen to. I think it's making art more interesting. It's making music more interesting, but I think it's
for
also
sure.
bringing, as you were kind of talking about, kind of harmony where the music scene and the art scene isn't cutthroat anymore. Everyone's consolidating and they're kind of trying to help each other, and I think that's like a really beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, like circling back on that, like I think I completely agree with you, you know what I mean? Because like I'm a big believer in taking out the word genre out of the dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Because like that just separates people, that limits people into what they're capable of doing. Because like myself, for example, sorry for using myself as an example. I'm a
oh, go
Leo,
ahead.
so I'm very narcissistic. But yeah, um, like growing up over the years, you know what I'm saying? Like I have grown a peculiar taste, like I've had the emo phase, I've had the hip hop phase, obviously, I've had the Gambino phase and lo-fi as well. So like right now I have all these things together, and like, I honestly, if I were to describe myself like music wise, honestly, I'm the sonic avatar. You know what I'm saying? I have all
Hmm.
these elements like just combined together, and I enjoy all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would experiment. I would try actually doing all of these. Like in the bank, I have like a few, like, I have a few Jersey stuff that you already heard with the love letters, the bah, 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 the dancey club type thing. I have a few rock. Like, something I love to do, especially in my bedroom, because with all these phones and stuff, no one can hear me. I love to scream.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love to do like proper screamo, proper like Chester Bennington style, like, "Arr!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I completely enjoy that. But then I would also love to spit like a really um fast 16, you know what I mean? So like it switches up every now and then, like, you know. And I feel like it's been mainstream now because, like, you know what I mean? You have artists like Tyler the Creator doing the story stuff. You
Yes.
see
Yeah.
Lil Yachty completely going off his comfort zone with
Yeah.
this whole jazz soul album. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And honestly, I've been enjoying it. I cannot stop bumping it. And then you have guys like Slow Tie basically being the new face of both grime and punk, which is
Right.
great. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I think um those two genres are great. It's actually, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Grime and rock, like, you know what I'm saying? Dizzy Rascal and Foo Fighters, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like now it's more relevant than ever
Yeah.
to bring those genres together.
The interesting thing I think of actually, and maybe this is something like you thought too, is if
Yeah.
you actually look at the kind of history of punk rock and hip hop, there is very similar. I mean, it's like this countercultural movement that started very grassroots. That
Yeah.
they started their own clubs, they started their own little communities, they would book shows together and stuff, and then
Yeah.
both of them happened to get mainstream appeal and attention. And now they're kind of it became
Yeah.
commodified and stuff. But there's that heart there still. And I think it actually,
Yeah.
I think really it's interesting if you look at the rise of hip hop and the rise of punk and see how similar they
Yeah.
actually are. And I
This
think
is very
like,
interesting, actually. If there's a
yeah,
book you can recommend me, I'll definitely read it. Like,
well, there are. See, the problem is like you can get individual books on the rise of punk and individual books on the rise of hip hop. I don't know if
yeah,
there's one that like compares the two. Maybe there is. I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm
yeah,
just like if it is, I'm just not aware of it. But I
yeah,
think those two scenes are very interesting, and I just think a lot of like I suppose actually you could even say like with the heavy metal scene too. I mean, I think
yeah,
a
for
lot.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the heavy metal scene,
I think a
like,
lot of
yeah,
like genres just start off that way, where it's like here's just people doing interesting shit, and then a community, kind of it grows around that, and then someone says, "Hey, we can make money out of this."
yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
nice.
Going back to your love letters, and so yeah,
Yes.
as you were mentioning, it's a collab with Rems, and it's interesting because like when you kind of listen to his style, it feels in a way somewhat contrasting to yours. I mean, it feels very bombastic. It feels very like in your face kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. That might sound negative. I don't mean it as such, but
No, it's
it,
fine.
it it
Yeah.
feels like potentially contradicting, but it kind of works. Like I don't know how like it complements each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. And yeah, honestly, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, originally it was I was writing it actually about somebody, you know what I mean? Because um like the whole thing with love letters is it was about me sending over love letters to, this one, because we were chatting, we were trying to get a whole relationship going. It was, the whole pandemic thing kind of stopped that, so snail mail
Hmm.
was the option.
Okay.
And Rems had a whole completely different experience, because obviously we're not the same person. He's gonna have a completely different experience during the lockdown. So that's what he wrote about. And I didn't even provoke him to do that. He just like started going off the top. What happened was, like, I played him the beat when we were back in Pirate Studio, and he just started silent, going on his phone for seconds. I was like, bro, like, you went on for so long. Who you texting? He was actually on the notes app. I was like,
Oh.
oh, you're writing a bar. I was like, you're writing bars for this. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I honestly, I lit up, like, my eyes lit up like fucking Christmas tree. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And yeah, he started writing his own thing, and then I was hearing like what he was saying in it. Like I was like his kind of bar is like a bit more negative because like you know what I mean he was in like kind of like a conflicting um situation at the time. So I still think that like it kind of worked because you know the beat itself is a bit melancholic and it's you know it's soft, so you can either talk about the good times or the bad times. But either way, like I you know I honestly I loved it because like it was kind of like the two like you said, like the two contrasting ideas and the two different sounds even kind of came together, and it was kind of a risk for me because obviously it could have gone either way, but I'm glad it happened because you know here we are today with that um with the single out now, and it's honestly right now it's one of my favorite works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so, and I guess that's the other thing I'd ask is just how do you think that this song kind of differentiates itself from maybe other works? Because you were talking about how in the press release you gave that you kind of wanted to go in a more kind of alternative or R&B kind of hip hop route. That was
Yeah,
kind of your sort of intent. I was wondering how you feel that this single kind of moves you in that direction.
like I feel like this single is my foot in the door, you know what I'm saying? Like this is my first step towards that kind of opening up and experimenting myself because like obviously it's still soft, it still has like my sound, like but then honestly like I'm not gonna tell you how old this is, but this beat is actually pretty old.
Yeah,
You know
okay.
what I'm saying? So like literally it wasn't even like months until releasing it. I listened back to the album because like everything was done already. Like the master was done, the vocals were done, the beat was it. Like that was it. I had the final product, but then I listened to it one more time. I was like, I'm not feeling this anymore. You know what I mean? Like this was me. Obviously, I've had like a lot more life experience. Since that time, since I wrote this, since I made the beat, since we recorded it. So I was listening back on it. I was like, yo, this ain't it, you know? And that's, it felt kind of devastating because, but it was needed because, you know, when you're very critical of your work, people see it as a negative thing, but, you know, like it was like a legitimate it was a legitimate like no I can't actually do this because I won't feel right about it, you know.
Yeah,
So I
so
had to add like a little sprinkle of how I currently feel of what I currently do at the end. So that's why you hear the Jersey mix at the end. Like the original idea was I wanted to release this and I wanted to release that as the remix, you know.
yeah,
But then that would be counterintuitive. Like, you know, I'm still a new artist. I can't actually make people listen to two things at once.
sure.
Plus with because like I actually have a plan for the rest of the year. We can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I decided to put the two together and just give them a little taste, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
a little teaser.
So it was originally
So
plans like a B-side,
so
yeah.
yeah. Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
like a B side, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that's the story of that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean like I'm just gonna check that I've asked everything. Yeah, I mean I think I've like pretty much asked anything. So
Nice.
yeah, I guess like I just have like one or two more things. Like so basically do you have any plans for like an EP or an album or is it just singles for the foreseeable future?
Like honestly, I do have plans for an EP actually.
Yeah.
That's so funny you ask because like yeah, so Love Letters is like low key one of like the leading singles.
Yep.
I think you're getting the exclusive right now, actually. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So yeah, so the idea is I released this single. There's another one that's coming out in the next month or two. I still have to finalize the dates on that. But that one is gonna be is like yeah, no, it's gonna be another like lo-fi kind of rapidy song. But then a few months after that, the EP's dropping then, you know. I'll have a
Okay.
lead single to advertise all that. I'll have a few music videos by then. Um, but yeah, no, this EP is coming out. It's gonna have a couple songs on it. I'm not trying to put too much into it because I have plans for more in the future, maybe even later in the year.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So definitely stay tuned to that. But yeah, that's kind of like the plan for the first half of the year anyway.
Yeah. Do you see the EPs and the singles, I guess, as well as kind of I guess testing grounds for what a full LP could be like? Because I know, for example, um, a lot of people like demo shit around. They kind of do stuff
Yeah,
live, or they they'll do certain songs live, but also they'll test it, and then I kind of go like I want like another year or two of growth
yeah,
before I drop the album. It's a very for a lot of people it's like I can drop EPs all day, but the album is like the first album has to
yeah,
be something special. You know what I mean? Do you
for
feel that
sure.
way where it's like I just would rather put it off until I'm fully content with what I know I
Yeah.
want to do?
Yeah, no, like I agree because that's honestly how I feel. Like you were spot on there, like about like dropping an album because obviously EP would just be a collection of songs that you made, but
Yeah,
um, an album is so much more, you know, and because like as a person, as a music lover, that's how I listen to my music. Obviously, everybody like a lot of people would be listening to more like playlists and compilations, but like no, I want to dig into the artist's head, see what they were thinking, what they were doing, what they were breathing, what they were eating, what they were sleeping, who they were fucking, like I mean, at that time. And the only way to do that is to listen to the album back to front, front to back,
yeah.
sideways, and upside
You
down. Yeah,
you tripped some vinyl earlier, and one thing I think is really interesting about vinyl once I started getting into it is that it really made me think because when I was growing up, I was like I had CDs, and
yeah,
then when I became like a teenager, it was digital pretty much since.
yeah,
And when I started listening to vinyl in my 20s, it was interesting because it kind of made me think of like you're not just thinking of the order of the album, you're thinking of it kind of twice. You're thinking of the A side and you're thinking of the B side, and you have to kind of go,
literally, yeah.
when does that like complement? Do you think like listening to vinyl adds interesting perspectives to music production? Because that's something I just would never think about is like where to end an A side or a B side if everything was just a continuous flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because honestly, like I am a purist at heart, so like I would just be the traditional like front to back kind of listener. But then when Kendrick dropped Damn in
Yeah,
2017, it made me rethink the whole thing. Because like there was this rumor, I don't I'm pretty sure you remember it, of a second album
yeah.
that he was dropping, and like everyone was like, oh, what's it gonna be called? Is it gonna be called Darn? Is it gonna be called Dang? Is it a Western kind of collab thing?
I remember
But
Damn
then
2 being thrown around.
you know what I mean? Damn too. Yeah, with that alternative picture.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was gonna be a red one, it's gonna be a blue one. I was like, that's probably not a good idea. But like, yeah. And then he came out. I don't know if it was like an interview or whatever. When he came out, it's like, oh, it's actually, if you listen to it backwards, it's actually a whole new story. And then that's when it clicked. I was like, oh shit, that's the second album.
Yeah,
And then it was confirmed when he dropped the deluxe edition, where it was actually the the album actually backwards, so you don't have to do it yourself,
yeah,
which I appreciate because I'm a lazy guy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like,
No,
I
absolutely.
like, yeah, for real. Like, you know what I mean? I appreciated that.
Yeah,
So honestly, obviously Kendrick has a lot of other works. Fucking, To Pimp a Butterfly got a Pulitzer Prize, but
yeah,
Damn is pretty underrated in terms of his collection. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Solely because of that reason.
yeah.
Also because of the bangers.
Kendrick's playing 4D chess, man.
Honestly, he is like, he's out here
But dude,
doing
like some of the shit he goes over, it's just like so. It's like, oh my god, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, for real. Like
how do
it's
you do
honest
this?
the whole, yeah, like even his latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's a whole concept. How did you make a toxic relationship, uh, record that and drop that, and it's a hot single? You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah, exactly.
saying?
And I actually think it can be quite hard to listen to sometimes. But yeah,
It is.
it is
Yeah.
great. But it's like just
Yeah,
That
yeah,
just
like
like the two
he
people
made it a
shouting, "No,
little too
fuck you,
realistic.
fuck you." I'm like, oh
Like,
god,
fuck
I
you.
can't again.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, because like that's the thing. Yeah, because like a few of my friends, like I know one friend in particular, like she is a huge Kendrick fan, but she can't listen to that song
It's
because of her
hard to, it's rough
because of her
because,
experience.
but I think what's interesting in but somewhat difficult is that it is asking the listener to bring their own baggage. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
is asking them to kind of go like, okay, everyone has kind of some relation to this. It doesn't have to be a relationship in the traditional kind of, I guess, romantic context, but like
Yeah.
everyone has toxic relations to some degree, and it's like you can't do that kind of concept without the listener having to, impose their life experience onto it. And I think it's just
Yeah.
like it that can be very challenging to do, but I do think it's rewarding. But it's like I get it if like someone's like I can't,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's tough. Like, obviously, like, I mean, some people will feel one way about this thing, but other people would rather not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's just opening a can of worms.
If you did an album, would it be conceptual, or do you think it would be a string of bangers?
That's the thing. I think I want to do a conceptual album actually because like at heart like I'd like to think of myself as like a storyteller, you know. Like in terms of release, like I've been thinking about like doing physical ones, because like obviously people are doing vinyls and all that kind of stuff. But I personally I love tapes and CDs.
Yeah. Would you ever?
Sorry, I was gonna throw a
Sorry.
dirty joke in there. I didn't. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, because like I saw Biba Doobie release like cassettes, and I was like, oh my god, that's actually pretty
Yeah.
cool. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people have done that yet, so I'd like to look into it at least.
Would
Yeah.
you consider signing with a label, or do you want to just do everything self-release? Because I know self-release in physical media is a bitch.
It is.
It's a
Yeah. Because
bitch.
like, yeah, I've been talking to a few people about it there. Like, like a lot of my musician friends have been thinking about it. Especially ones I've done it in a while, you know what I mean? To spice things up a bit. Yeah, like vinyls are not cheap, bro.
No,
They are
no.
not cheap. And like, yeah, if you're thinking of getting like what a whole batch of it, like 1,000
Yeah.
or like whatever, like not even 1,000, because like you know what I mean, but like that's the goal in the future. But like, yeah, it's so expensive. But at the same time, when you're signing to a label, you know what I mean, like these days, obviously, you can't make it from CD and vinyl sales alone
Yeah.
with this digital age. So you'd have to resort to streaming services. You have to resort to like specifically TikTok because
Yeah.
like yeah, TikTok's like a great platform right now to advertise whatever you're doing. Music would be one of them, you know what I mean? But like
So
there's not that much money in that. So like,
it,
I've
it
heard,
you're getting
sorry.
fucked either way. Like,
Yeah, literally, you know
you're
what I'm
getting
saying?
fucked
Like
on
all
like on
over.
streaming. The
Yeah,
accessibility is, I think, the attractive thing, but it's like to pay. Yeah, it's just
exactly. You
it's
know what I
it
mean?
wouldn't even afford lunch.
Literally, like, like the best way I can describe a musician, like the position we're in right now would be a bukkake scene.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Just fucking record labels all over trying to shoot that shit, you know what I'm saying? And then you're just there in the middle, just taking it.
Well, I was wondering.
Okay, no,
That's the
I'm sorry
cost
for
of
that.
art.
I'm sorry about that.
You
But
can
for
say
real
what you
though.
want. I'm not
Nice.
going to censor you, but
I bet.
what was I gonna say? But like, I was wondering if, like, I was actually, you mentioned the GNS interview I did with him and V Sensei, and it's like the
Yeah.
thing we were kind of talking about, which I thought was cool, is like the idea of like music collectives, which again, very punk rock, very hip
Yeah,
hop,
for
and it's like,
sure.
but I think like maybe that's like kind of a way people can go. Like if there's a cool collective of like a bunch of different artists, maybe people could chip in. Perhaps I'm just like speculating. I'm just thinking of like maybe even like someone like a Patreon route or something like that. Something where it's like
Yeah.
people who are into it can donate,
Yeah.
monthly or whatever. And like maybe that way you can get like vinyl, you can get, you crowdsource
Like,
your
yeah,
way. And it's like just have these
crowdsource.
instruments and give everyone, rather than do the kind of the record label route, say we're gonna stick our label on this, but you own the copyright to everything. This is your album. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
that'd probably be a more ethical way of going about things. It's kind of collective means.
yeah. Like, I think honestly, like it's a great idea, you know what I mean? Because like obviously there's so many starving artists out there, and if you do grab, you gather like a fan base, and if they do fully support your music and all that stuff, willing to pay, then you know what I mean, why not? Like, like it keeps you doing what you like to do, and it feeds them that energy, you know what I mean? Like they get the music, you get to do the music,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
And there's like so many ways to do it now. You have Bandcamp, which is great because like it's bringing that whole like fun crowd surfing, what? Pause. That's not what I was trying to say.
That's more
Like
life.
literally, yeah. I'd love to do that someday, but
Yeah.
let me lose some weight first, and then yeah, we'll talk about that later.
A lot of places won't let you do it. They're like, oh no, you
Yeah,
can't
you know
take
what
the
I mean.
risk.
Like it's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, because because it was crazy. I went to my friend Fortune's gig the other day. He was crowd surfing there, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, going
You
back
got
to
to make sure
topic
the
there.
crowd are into you first, so they'll catch you.
Exactly. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
obviously, you got to read the crowd as well.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want.
totally.
Yeah. Because like, if you're like a soft like indie artist, and then you have like, you know, not gym bros on the
Yeah,
crowd,
yeah,
it's probably not the best idea. Because like,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw this like video, of Claro trying to crowd surf.
Oh,
Oh my
really?
god,
I love
Claro trying
Clara,
to
but
crowd
like I haven't
surf.
seen
Yeah,
that.
because like I remember you were talking about like bedroom pop the hall earlier. Like I feel
Yeah,
like she single-handedly started that movement. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And
Yeah. So
I thought like with our last album, Sling, it was like it's kind of it was a
yeah.
very much its own. It felt like a real evolution of that, where it seemed
Yeah.
sort of in the middle of bedroom pop, but also professional standard. I can't really explain it. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it still seemed to
Yeah.
have somewhat of a lo-fi, maybe
Yeah.
mid-fi.
Probably
Mid-fi.
definitely more than lo-fi. She
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
more fi now.
Yeah,
She has a
yeah,
lot more money, so she should have more fi.
of course.
you
But what
know.
was happening with Clara when she tried to crowd surf?
So yeah, no, I can't even remember. I think it was like Governor's Ball or something.
Yeah, oh.
In the US, it was some festival. Yeah, and like yeah, like poor her though, because like she was like she couldn't even like jump off the crowd, and
Oh
then
no.
like I mean, shout out to that crowd though, because
Yeah.
like they were trying to pick her up, they were trying to get her
Help
crowd
her,
surf and all
yeah.
that stuff, but uh like I mean, I am sorry to that crowd. I'm sorry to Claro that footage exists. You
I'm gonna check it out
know,
after this. I'll link it in the article.
yeah, literally, just like at the bottom.
I'll just
Oh my
embed it here.
stop. Oh god. I swear to God, I
And
hope she doesn't see this interview.
that'll be
She
your
gonna
fault.
yeah. Oh my God, stop, yo. She gonna hate me. Claire, I'm so sorry. Like I'm literally
You're,
like one of her biggest fans. I'm like, bruh, and then she sees me do this, talking about this. I'm like, oh,
You're not
bro.
getting that Claro
I'm not.
collab.
No. Come on, I'm getting that Claro lawsuit though. So that's that's a signature in the bag. Get that restraining order,
Sweet.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I technically have her autograph.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Oh my
Technically.
God, that's literally like from that Drake and Josh episode.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, hey, here's Oprah's restraining order. Oh my God, I got her signature.
yeah. So that's Drake and Josh and Last Airbender, just all the Nickelodeon refs and
Just
Good
all the
Burger.
Nickelodeons. Oh yeah. You guys are, yeah. No, I got the references in the bag. You know what I mean? I don't
You
even
got
have any notes for this. It's just off the top of the dome.
do a Dan Schneider collab.
Oh, oh God, no. See that I don't want to know if I want to do that. My dogs are out right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I got the grippers out, but you know what I mean. Dan Schneider ain't getting any of this.
I don't know why I said that.
I fucking love this interview,
You're
man.
you're inspiring all the evil traits.
I'm sorry.
Shout out to
God.
Jeanette McCurdy.
Shout out to Jenna McCurdy. Oh, she actually wrote that book. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. I haven't read
Yeah,
it yet, but like I
yeah. Like I've read some excerpts. Honestly, like it's pretty deep, but
dude,
like
it's oh my god.
yeah.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. You know what
Let's
I mean?
not go there.
Imagine if Twitter gets a hold of this. You know what
Oh
I'm
no.
saying?
Well,
Moving on.
yeah, yeah, okay. So wrapping up.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to add just for a wrap up or
Um, honestly, like, what I mean, I think I've said all I've had. I wanted to say in there.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout out, I guess, what I mean, to all the artists that are still out there, still trying to make it. Shout out to my friends in particular in the industry and my friends in general, because they're gonna be angry at me if I don't shout them out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Honestly, just like um still trying to get this bag, trying to get this money. Yeah. What else would I want to say? Yeah, so like I said, like that new single that's coming soon, that's called Corpse Bride.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So definitely watch out for that. Um,
Sweet.
yeah, yeah. The EP name we'll know soon enough. I already have the EP name, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna say it.
You don't have
That's
to
a little
drop it. That's
teaser.
cool.
Exactly. You have
We
to
got enough
subscribe to my
exclusives
YouTube
today.
channel, go to my Patreon, go subscribe to me on Feed Finder.
At Dan Schneider.
Oh my god. Now the funniest part is like my friends actually think I have a foot fetish, but like because I joke about that shit all the time.
Yeah.
But like I'm like, no, I don't.
The
I actually
Tarantino shit.
Yo, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras right now.
You're not getting in any Tarantino's movies. That's it. He announced his last movie. I think it's called The Movie Critic. You're not getting on the soundtrack.
Oh damn. I mean, if I make a song about feet, though, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know what I mean?
You'll definitely get a crowd. You'll definitely
Well,
get a audience.
I'll get some audience. I don't know if it's someone I want.
Sweet, dude. Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, no, thank you for having me. You know
Enjoy it, man. Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more.